Hi, welcome back to Waxing On, the full-length version. Today, Monday, usually a jazz day for us, and today is going to be jazz as well because I'm heading into one more rehearsal before our big band concert this summer. We usually do a big end of summer concert the last Wednesday in August, and we've got one coming up, so I'm trying to get myself in that big band mode. If you've been watching, you notice a lot of my shorts, more classic rock. We've gotten away from some of the band stuff, some of the jazz stuff. So today we're going to go back and revisit an album I bought back in 1973. 51 years ago. Can you imagine? Woody Herman's band. And it's called The Raven Speaks. Now, Woody'd been around since the 40s. Big band leader. But into the early 70s, things began to change. And he was getting more contemporary, younger members in the band, doing more popular rock-oriented songs. Now he did with Heavy Exposure we talked about before, and he was starting into that, but they were little short 2 and 3 minute songs. They really didn't delve into the music that much. They weren't like full-length big band songs. This is the album he was playing the first time I saw him, or he was backing this one, and some great tunes on here. We've got some jazz tunes, yeah. We got songs by Herbie Hancock, Keith Jarrett. We've got classics by Carole King. Let's just go down the list here. First tune, Fat Mama, Herbie Hancock tune. Alone Again Naturally, a song by Gilbert O'Sullivan. You may remember him. He had a couple of tunes out. This is one we actually played with our big band back in the 80s. Back in those days, we were a lot younger. We could play a lot more of those high notes. We could do that kind of thing. We're using actual Woody Herman arrangements for it, if you can imagine. Watermelon Man, Herbie Hancock again. It's Too Late, Carole King. Now, he did branch out and do some other Carole King later on. Another big Carole King that he recorded was Jazzman. And that's another tune we did with our big band back in those days. But, I mean, Woody was singing on that as well, playing soprano sax. These are the kind of tunes he was playing when I went to see him. And that was in that period from the mid to the late 70s. Bill's Blues, written by one of his trumpet players. Great arrangements on here by Bill Stapleton. He's the one that wrote that tune, but he also arranged a lot of the material, and he was just an excellent arranger. We've got Summer of 42, the Michel Legrand tune, and Raven Speaks by Keith Jarrett. Now, not as heavy into the rock as later on. The next album, Giant Steps, he was incorporating some Leon Russell in there. We've got, I think another album after that one, they had some Frank Zappa. They've got Chicago. He was really starting to branch out and do more of those kind of songs. And it's suited. I mean, Maynard was doing the same kind of thing. He was into a lot more of the popular tune than he was jazz tunes. Woody was kind of balancing the two out in between. Buddy Rich, he also had a young band out there. So we had those three bands touring at the same time. So you can imagine what an exciting time this was in the mid-70s. Let's just see who's on the band for Woody Herman on this. Al Pacino on lead, Charlie Davis and John Thomas, Bill Stapleton, Bill Byrne. Now, Bill Stapleton, I already mentioned, great writer, arranger, great soloist, did some work on here. John Thomas, we've talked about before. He played with Chick Corea, Count Basie. Woody Herman here, he's teaching. He did a great video on secrets to trumpet playing. If you get a chance to check that one out. With trombones, you got Bob Burgess, Rick Stepton, and Harold Garrett. And on tenor saxophone, Frank Tiberi. I'll come back to him in a second. Gregory Herbert, Steve Lederer, and Tom Anastas. Drums, Joe LaBarba. And on bass, it was Al Johnson. Frank Tiberi, up till just recently, maybe even, I haven't checked lately, but back even in the last 10 years, Frank Tiberi was still leading the Woody Herman band. I mean, Woody had long since passed away, but Frank still was keeping it going and doing gigs with it. So he kind of kept that alive. Now, I don't know if they're still going, but they were, like say, up to maybe the last 10 years ago. Now, Woody Herman, another one of that's funny. I mentioned Maynard, Woody Herman. Another friend of mine, we've talked about him before. He was a lead trumpet player with Harry Connick for 20 years. Roger Ingram also played trumpet with Maynard Ferguson and Woody Herman in their later days. Not a lot of recordings out of those dates. I think the Ferguson one has a couple of recordings out where Roger was on. I'm not sure with the Woody Herman ones. You don't see a lot of that era in recording. His prime recording time for me was in that 70s to early mid-80s. He was cranking out a lot of albums. He was doing a lot of touring. A nice young band out there, and he was on the road a lot. This recorded back in 1972. The Raven Speaks. It was just a classic album. He would really tell it was a turning point. All his music stands actually displayed this logo or album cover on it. He saw that as when things had really changed. He found a new groove, a new direction he was going to take, and for the next decade almost, he really made some great headway with young people in introducing big band music to the masses. So that's what we're listening to today. I got Woody Herman's Raven Speaks, my first Woody Herman album, at a time when I was really just getting into the big bands, and it was a great album, great band to see live. That's it for today, Woody Herman. We'll see you on Wednesday when we're back with classic rock. Until then, everybody take care, stay safe. We'll see you on Wednesday.